So Kim, yesterday we had a discussion. We were talking about, Victor was laying out the vision. Had the minister as the guest. We were talking about blockchain and big data and artificial intelligence. And when I had a chance to kind of open up the Kinguin&Friends portion, we were talking about kind of, at least from my perspective, where Kinguin fits overall. I made the observation, at least from my perspective, sitting in the USA and making these investments, that I already view Kinguin as kind of a top-tier company that's succeeded on so many different levels in terms of staying ahead of the curve, innovating, and being a leader in esports. But obviously, you've been inside the company now, architecting the future. So from your perspective, what is it about Kinguin that sets it apart, or what's your perspective?
I'm going to answer that reverse. I consulted the company for about 1.5 years, I think, before I joined it. And I had a thing I couldn't figure it out. No one seemed to be proud of what they did. And I think you just truly only do things, if you're proud of them. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, yep, that does thing. Then you do great work. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. And I just didn't see like zero of that. And I've never seen them before. Zero. What the conclusion is I come to is that there's all these people who are really good. And they're really smart. And they have all this potential in them. And they haven't unlocked it yet because somehow, at some point in time, Kinguin forgot how to celebrate success. I have a personal theory. When I went to the first management meeting, I asked people in the room how many of them were there in 2014, and it was like 4 out of 20. And across the company, I think there are very few people left today that were there in 2014. Company launches in 2013. It does, I think it was like $4.2 million in year 1. Holy cow! I would be happy if that was me. And then it did $32 million the year after. Something like that. Explosive growth, right? And that has never happened since, because the market has matured and all of the things kicked in. And that's completely defensible. I just think that no one has celebrated a success since back then, when you genetically hit everyone in the company. Everyone must have been like, partying like rock stars for months. So I think there's all these smart people that have a Polish mentality, which is also not necessarily to be the most vibrant and warm and saying things. Oh, I love this thing. There's some masculinity that I'm not used to. When I said I was vegetarian, you should have said, "Oh my God!" People looked at me like I was a dog. So there's certain differences, but I really think it's this. The pride thing was missing.
Yeah. I think that's well said. I mean, obviously, culturally, this is my first trip. I take away a lot of things from this trip. I travel. I probably travel 150 days outside of the USA a year.
Good for you.
I'm struck in a positive way by just the resilient nature. There's a tough history. I got apprised of some of it even more, but there's a tough history, but it's one of survival. And everyone remarked to me how the last 20 years in Warsaw have been revolutionary. And now you've got a company in an industry that's the number one topic on most people's list. You have a company here in town that's going to lead the way into yet another revolution, which is a blockchain and the use of crypto. So those numbers that they should have celebrated they're gonna pale by comparison to what can be achieved by the next jump.
After I started and gave myself a title, because I was asked to, of Chief Gaming Officer, I had to figure out what that meant specifically. What do I do here? So I started looking at what the company was and is and can be. That makes sense, right? And you know what surprised me? So when I say that pride in work and people didn't celebrate successes, the internal perception in Kinguin was that they were a global e-commerce brand that originated from some e-commerce, and that they were sort of like on the forefront of esports, and they were very, very willing to try new things. That was the internal perception of themselves as a brand. Mine was based on historical facts that I myself could go find. It was the first global marketplace where gamers could monetize personal property and the CD keys that they already had available in the libraries. It was a company that, when it was launched, had explosive growth for one reason only. They offered a by far superior product that was based on free market economy, that as a person am completely behind. And that when I did the math, and I did it, I actually went through spreadsheets. You cannot believe this happened to me. I calculated that the company has, since its inception, saved the global gaming community more than $150 million.
Well, we talked about that yesterday.
Oh my God, right? And no one in Kinguin had thought about it that way. For them, they just sold, 16-digit CD keys. It's sad.
Well, to bring it current and to kind of put an exclamation point, if all of this is true, then yesterday was a clear representation or manifestation of the type of image that Kinguin will be projecting as it participates in the next revolution.
Victor, the founder, he actually keeps surprising me. What I imagine that he must have seen in 2013 when he did a company that had that kind of growth, he sort of pulls it off on like a mini event basis, like on a regular basis. There'll be like a singularity that opens in the middle of the office, and all of a sudden the Minister of Digital Affairs is now a constellation, or a Russian crypto investor and entrepreneur, Alexander Shulgin. The amount of things that have sort of befallen us since we started walking together have been very, very interesting.
Well, it takes leadership. It takes people with the skills and vision that you've exhibited for many, many years in the industry. And it takes, to some extent, people like me who are outsiders who can give a little perspective without being so close. And so it's a good combination. And that means we're done.
We're done.
Yeah. Good job, buddy.